Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Every summer, as the Washington Commanders gather under the blazing sun for training camp, there's a quiet tradition that unfolds alongside the major headlines. While the big stories, like Terry McLaurin's contract situation, dominate social media and talk shows, there are always lesser-known names emerging from the shadows. These are players buried deep on the depth chart who, with nothing but hunger and a sliver of opportunity, managed to capture the imagination of fans and coaches alike. They flash brilliance in camp drills, dazzle in preseason snaps, and briefly become the darlings of DC football lore. One such player this year is wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks, an undrafted free agent out of Louisville. With McLaurin sidelined, Brooks has made his presence known in a big way, showcasing sure hands, polished roots, and a relentless motor. It's the stuff camp legends are made of, and it has sparked memories of past heroes who shone brightly, if only for a fleeting moment. When thinking about unforgettable training camp risers, few names shine as brightly as Alfred Morris in 2012. A 6th-round pick out of Florida Atlantic, Morris entered camp largely as an afterthought. He wasn't flashy. He didn't run a blazing 40, but he was consistent, tough, and relentless, qualities that quickly began to turn heads. Week after week, he climbed the depth chart, passing veterans like Roy Helu, Tim Hightower, and Evan Royster. His preseason performances made it impossible for coaches to ignore him. When week 1 arrived, he was the starting back. By season's end, he had rushed for 1,713 yards and 13 touchdowns, helping to power Washington into the playoffs. It was one of the greatest rookie seasons in franchise history, and it all began in the heat of Ashburn. Morris isn't just a training camp legend. He's proof that those camp breakouts can sometimes turn into genuine NFL stars when given a chance. Then there's Cam Sims, who might be the most persistent training camp star the Commanders have seen in the past decade. Sims joined the team in 2018 as an undrafted free agent out of Alabama, and he seemed to be the star of camp every single year he was on the roster. Whether it was a jaw-dropping sideline catch, a contested grab in the end zone, or just his sheer physicality at 6'5", Sims gave fans something to talk about every August. But when September rolled around, his role seemed to evaporate. Despite the flashes of promised consistency eluded him in regular season action. His best statistical year came in 2020 when he hauled in 32 receptions for 477 yards. But the promise of a breakout never fully materialized. Still, fans won't forget those annual August days when Cam Sims looked like a future star, dominating defenders and giving hope that the next great Washington wideout might already be on the roster. In 2019, a different kind of buzz surrounded Jimmy Moreland. The James Madison product was selected in the 7th round and almost immediately became a fan favorite. Part of that was his local roots, but much of it was due to his playmaking instincts. Moreland was constantly around the ball during camp and preseason, picking off passes, breaking up throws, and playing with a swagger that belied his draft status. Coaches raved about his anticipation. Teammates spoke of his competitiveness. Media and fans alike penciled him into the rotation almost immediately. While he never developed into a full-time lockdown corner, Moreland did start several games across 2 seasons and contributed solid depth to the secondary. His story may not have ended with Pro Bowls or massive contracts, but during the summer of 2019, he looked every bit like a hidden gem ready to burst onto the scene, a reminder of just how intoxicating training camp hype can be. Fast forward to 2023, and another undrafted wide receiver was grabbing attention, Bryson Tremaine. Coming out of Stanford, Tremaine wasn't the fastest or most agile prospect, but his size, intelligence, and catch radius made him a compelling figure in camp. Every few years, a player like him rises, quiet, steady, and undeniably productive when given reps. He made highlight grabs in joint practices and flashed in preseason games, giving the impression that he might just beat the odds and make the 53-man roster. But the numbers game in the NFL is ruthless. Tremaine ended up on the practice squad where he remained for 2 seasons before the Carolina Panthers picked him up earlier this year. His time in Washington might be over, but for those who watched closely during training camp, his efforts weren't forgotten. He embodied the resilience and quiet determination of a player just trying to prove he belongs, even if the final chapter hasn't yet been written. And then more recently, in the sweltering days of 2024, it was safety Tyler Owens who emerged from the fringes. An undrafted rookie out of Texas Tech, Owens brought a rare blend of size and athleticism to Washington's secondary. In a room filled with proven veterans and high draft picks, Owens made noise with special teams hustle, physical tackling, and timely pass breakups. His camp performances earned him a spot on the initial 53-man roster, and he appeared in 12 games, mostly on special teams, before an injury derailed what was becoming a promising rookie campaign. Now entering year 2, Owens is trying to claw his way back into the conversation. While it's unclear whether he'll crack the rotation this year, especially if everyone stays healthy, he's the kind of player who forces coaches to pay attention, just like so many other camp standouts before him. It's another chapter in a long history of long shots making noise in August. Of course, not every training camp standout turns into a success story, and that's part of what makes these narratives so compelling. They are unpredictable. One summer, a hero might be next summer's cut casualty. Still, these stories matter. They keep fans engaged. They shine a spotlight on the depth and development side of the sport, offering hope that the next Alfred Morris is just waiting for his chance. Players like Ja'Cory Brooks embody that spirit. He wasn't drafted. He didn't dominate headlines in college. But in camp, he's making the most of every opportunity. That alone is enough to spark conversations, highlight reels, and whispers of what if. That's the power of training camp, a stage where stars are born, even if only briefly, under the glare of possibility and the rhythm of cleats on turf. Fans who closely follow training camp understand this unwritten rule. August isn't just about preparing the starters. It's about discovering the unknowns. It's about watching a Ja'Cory Brooks haul in a deep pass against a second-team corner and wondering, could he be something? It's the joy of watching someone claw for a spot driven by dreams rather than dollar signs. That's why names like Jimmy Moreland or Cam Sims linger in memory, even if they never quite broke through. Their stories represent what's pure about football. The meritocracy, the grind, the fleeting brilliance. And while most training camp darlings vanish into the blur of roster cuts, some stick around, make plays in December, and eventually become mainstays. Whether Brooks joins that list or not remains to be seen, but for now, his story adds another layer to the lore that makes Washington's camp season so captivating for those paying attention. This year's edition of Commanders Camp might be centered around big names and bigger questions, McLaurin's future, quarterback depth charts, new coaching philosophies, but the underdog stories remain essential. They're the heartbeat of training camp. They remind us that every roster spot is earned, not given. Ja'Cory Brooks isn't just competing for a job. He's chasing a dream that has been carried forward by countless players before him. Some, like Morris, turned it into stardom. Others, like Tremaine or Owens, are still grinding for that breakthrough. And for fans, these stories are more than filler. They're the essence of hope. They're the reason fans stay glued to camp reports and preseason games. They believe just for a moment that the next breakout star is out there, catching a pass in the August heat, making us all believe once again in the magic of the underdog. As the 2025 season inches closer, all eyes will eventually shift to the regular season grind, the injuries, the playoff chases, the marquee matchups. But before all of that unfolds, there's this sacred time in late July and early August where every rep, every snap, every drill is laced with potential. And in Washington, that stage has already welcomed a new contender in Ja'Cory Brooks. Whether he makes the team or not, his presence in camp has reignited the memories of those who came before him. It's a reminder that for every household name, there's a Ja'Cory or a Jimmy or a Bryson fighting just to hear their name called on game day. Their stories may be brief, but they are powerful. They're woven into the culture of the team and into the hearts of fans who dare to believe. That, more than anything, is what keeps training camp heroes alive in memory even long after the cheers fade. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL world is buzzing with a rumor that's shaking the very foundation of the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys have reportedly lost their most feared defensive weapon, and the shockwave is even greater considering where he's landed, with none other than their heated division rivals, the Washington Commanders. That's right. Whispers from multiple unnamed sources suggest that Dallas's explosive edge rusher, known for terrorizing quarterbacks and altering offensive game plans single-handedly, has made the leap to the other side. The rumor mill has been on fire over the last 24 hours, with insiders hinting at closed-door meetings, unexpected contract movements, and a last-minute twist that could redefine both team seasons. No official confirmation yet, but the Cowboys' silence speaks volumes. If true, this is not just a major personnel loss, it's a psychological blow to the team and its loyal fan base. Commanders fans, on the other hand, are already celebrating. Let's break this down. We're talking about a player who wasn't just good, he was elite. The kind of edge rusher who commands double teams on almost every snap. The kind who turns 3rd and long into a near certain punt. He anchored the Cowboys' defensive pressure, and without him, Dallas may be staring down the barrel of a serious pass rushing deficit. This isn't your average trade rumor. This is the kind of move that shifts the power balance in the NFC East. Multiple league observers had considered him the heartbeat of the Cowboys' defense. He wasn't just a player, he was a presence, an enforcer, and a game changer. Seeing him potentially suit up in burgundy and gold is the kind of plot twist no one saw coming, and it raises immediate questions about Dallas's defensive identity going forward. Was this a contract issue, a front office miscalculation, or something deeper brewing beneath the surface? The speculation began when sharp-eyed fans noticed his cryptic social media posts earlier this week. Vague emojis, subtle unfollows, and a suspicious absence from team activities. Then came the reports of closed meetings between his agent and representatives from an unnamed NFC East team. By midday, NFL insiders began dropping hints on Twitter and podcasts, suggesting that Washington might be involved. Suddenly, beat reporters covering the Cowboys went silent on the matter, while Commanders-affiliated voices started posting sly gifs and insider nods. It didn't take long before the rumor exploded across fan forums and sports talk shows. And now, while we wait for any official announcement, the entire league is bracing for confirmation of what could be the biggest intra-division move in recent memory. If this is more than just smoke, then it's the kind of fire that could burn bright all season. The Commanders have been quietly rebuilding under the radar, and this potential acquisition might be their most aggressive move yet. They've already got a talented young core on defense, but adding a proven veteran pass rusher of this caliber changes everything. This is a chess move, not just to strengthen themselves, but to directly weaken a rival. And let's not forget the psychological warfare at play here. Imagine facing your former team twice a year with a chip on your shoulder and the knowledge of their schemes. If this move goes through, the Commanders could unleash him as a weapon not just on the field, but in the locker room too, destabilizing the Cowboys from within. The implications are massive, and fans on both sides are already drawing battle lines. Is this a genius move by Washington or a catastrophic failure by Dallas? From a roster building perspective, this move would be a stunner. The Cowboys were already thin in terms of experience depth behind him, and there's no clear replacement ready to fill those shoes. Meanwhile, the Commanders' front seven is becoming an absolute nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Pairing this rumored acquisition with their current defensive line talent could make them a top 5 defense overnight. Coaches dream of this kind of pass rush flexibility, and if this edge rusher brings his trademark explosiveness and intensity to Washington, it could create matchup nightmares across the league. It also signals a new level of ambition from Washington's front office. For years, they've played it safe. Not anymore. This is bold. This is brash. And if it works, it might just mark the dawn of a new defensive era in DC. But let's talk about what this means for Dallas. Fans are furious, and rightfully so. This isn't just about losing a star. It's about losing him to a hated rival. Every time he lines up against the Cowboys in that Commanders uniform, it's gonna sting. Did the Cowboys misjudge his value? Were there internal disagreements about his role, his contract, or his leadership? The franchise has long prided itself on its defensive prowess in recent years, and now one of their cornerstone pieces may be walking out the door. This could point to deeper dysfunction within the Cowboys organization. And make no mistake, if this move pays off for Washington, Cowboys ownership will be under immense pressure to explain how they let it happen. Right now, fans feel blindsided, betrayed, and deeply concerned about the future of their defense. There's also a financial angle to consider. Was this purely a salary cap decision? Was Dallas unable or unwilling to match an offer from Washington? If so, that's going to raise eyebrows across the league. Letting a division rival swoop in and steal one of your best players due to cap constraints is a bitter pill to swallow, especially when that player still has years of top-level production left in him. Reports suggest that the Commanders offered a front-loaded deal with heavy incentives, exactly the kind of structure Dallas has been reluctant to use in recent negotiations. If Washington was willing to take a risk and Dallas chose to play it safe, this could be a classic case of boldness beating caution. And sometimes, in the high-stakes game of NFL roster construction, boldness is exactly what it takes to win. There's no shortage of historical parallels here. Think of Deion Sanders switching sides in the 90s or more recently, stars jumping ship within divisions to chase bigger roles or better chances at winning. This rumored move fits right into that dramatic tradition. The NFL thrives on rivalries, and nothing fuels them more than betrayal. Fans love it, media eats it up, and players use it for motivation. The Commanders versus Cowboys matchups were already must-watch television. Now, if this transfer becomes official, they might become the most intense games of the entire NFL season. Every sack, every tackle, every stare down will carry layers of emotion, history, and vengeance. It's not just football anymore. It's personal. And for the player at the center of it all, this could be his defining storyline. Meanwhile, analysts across the league are already recalculating their power rankings. The Cowboys, once seen as a defensive juggernaut, might now have a glaring hole to fill. The Commanders, often dismissed as middle of the pack, suddenly look dangerous. If you're an offensive coordinator preparing to face Washington, you're now dealing with a nightmare scenario. Multiple elite pass rushers coming from all angles. It changes how you call plays, how you train your linemen, even how you draft. On the flip side, Dallas now has to answer tough questions. Do they have a contingency plan? Are they looking at the trade market? Could a desperate move be coming to repair the damage? The clock is ticking and the season won't wait. If this rumor proves true, Dallas will need to act fast. In the end, only time will tell how this all plays out. Maybe it's all smoke. Maybe it's a leak planted by agents looking to stir the pot. But where there's this much fire, there's usually something burning. The NFL offseason has its fair share of drama, but this one feels different. This one feels like it could actually tip the scales of a whole division. Cowboys fans are bracing for impact. Commanders fans are on the edge of their seats. And everyone else, they're just watching the drama unfold. Whatever happens next, one thing's certain. This isn't just about football. It's about pride, power, and the razor-thin margins that separate contenders from pretenders. If the Dallas Cowboys really just lost their most dangerous weapon to the Washington Commanders, then buckle up. The NFC East just became the NFL's most explosive storyline. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.